Hey everybody, it says I'm now live, so hopefully that is right. Just wanted to pop in and talk to you guys a little bit for a couple of reasons. First of all, I want to talk to you about vision. And the question that I have for you is, do you have a vision for what you want life to look like? I think sometimes when you come into a group like this, and you guys have all been with me at least for 2 months, some of you longer, you know what you don't want. You know that you're tired of living your life the same way. You know you're sick of being compelled and feeling compulsive and addicted. And you know that you don't want to stay the same. And I think that can drive you into a situation where you choose to be open, where you choose to join a group and things like that. And that's good. That's a good start. But we never really get real traction until we get a vision for where we want to go. I know a lot of you are like me in that when I started out in my healing journey, I couldn't even formulate any sort of vision for a world where I was not like I had always been. I mean, it was hard for me to even... If you had said to me, Jessica, what would your life look like if you weren't obsessed with food, if you weren't, consumed with bulimia, if you weren't obsessed with your body all the time, what would your life look like? And I would have just said to them, it doesn't even matter. The answer to that question doesn't matter because it's not possible for me. And part of the reason I thought that is because I had done that behavior so long. And I had failed so many times, and I really just didn't have any real, true hope that I was capable of being better. See, the problem is we still think if you're going back and you're doing the thing that you've always done, it's because you really do still think you're not capable of being different. And that's a lie. I want to tell you that. Any behavior that is keeping you captive, you are capable of changing. You can't change the fact that you have this predisposition towards eating issues. I think, some of us are born with sort of an obsessive personality. And as we've talked about, it comes out in different ways, not just food, but in other obsessive tendencies. And food just tends to be a big one, and it tends to affect us in huge ways. So you can't help that. That's sort of part of your personality. But the behaviors that you engage in every day and the ways that you have learned to deal with life up until this point, if you can get to the place where you say, these are just behaviors, they're really not who I am, and at this point, this repeated behavior is taking more from my life than it gives me. If you can get to that place, and that's what I want you to think about, then you can say, if it is only a behavior, any behavior can be changed, one decision at a time. So kind of piggybacking on that, I want to say this. If you are still relapsing, if you are still going back and eating foods that harm you, there is one of two things going on, or maybe both. And this is something you really need to figure out. One, you are sabotaging yourself because you don't know your worth. You don't really understand and believe the truth about yourself. The truth is you are worthy of healing. You are unique. You are special. There has never been and will never be another you. So it is critical. It is so important to the world that you heal. Whatever it is that you think about yourself, that you think you deserve less than the very best life for you, that's a lie. There is something that's so amazing and so unique about you that in order for the world to experience that and for you to really experience the fullness that you're meant to experience in life, you got to get past this sabotaging thing in your life. And so even though for me, I could not create a vision for myself of how my life would look like if I wasn't obsessed, I started to understand the truth about who I was. I did start to understand, I am made for more than this. I am not created to sit around obsessed with food all day. I was not created to just be consumed with this. And if you can start to believe the truth of that, then even if you don't know exactly what life will look like, you become curious about what it would look like, and you start to imagine and you start to dream. And I started to think about things like, and this is small stuff, but I'm like, well, what if I did go to my child's school and I did show up for events? I talk about the fact that, Clara was a cheerleader for several years. I never saw a single game. I wouldn't go to the game because of my anxiety, because of my weight, because of my health, because I was ashamed. And I just started to have these little glimpses of, well, what if I did? What if I started to feel better about myself and I showed up? Could I be a better mom? And then I started to think about my involvement in other things in my life, and I started to just get curious, like, what might I do? So you can paint a vision around one thing. I know I had a client one time who was very, very overweight, very sick. In fact, she was so heavy she was immobile. And we talked about this concept of having a vision. And it took her like a week to get back to me, but she came back to me and she said, Jessica, I know what I would do if I was freer. If my body weight went down, if I could just do what I wanted to, I would ride horses. I've always wanted to ride a horse, but I waited too long. Now I'm too sick. Now I'm too heavy. And so one of the things that having a vision will do is it gives you perspective when you have a choice to make. So as your day goes on and you have the opportunity, and you will have many opportunities every single day to make different choices. Either I eat this, cookie, or I can have this vision of myself riding a horse. If you have that vision will win over this temporary thing, right? So it's important, one, to start to understand your worth, who you are. And that's not a feeling, that's a fact. You have to start to say that to yourself. I am worthy. I am unique. I have a purpose. You don't need to know what it is. Just get that into your spirit. Speak those words. I am worth better than this. I was created for better than this. So then I said there were two things. The second thing the first thing was you don't really understand your worth, so you're self-sabotaging. And then the second thing is you still believe lies about what food can do for you. And this is huge. Any person that I talk to, and I talk to a lot of people every week, who struggles either with eating off plan or compulsively eating or emotionally eating, in that moment there's always something that they believe that food is going to do for them. And I want to reiterate something. Food does do a little something for us, right? It's a very temporary thing. It is a very small, short-lived pleasure. So there is that. I'm acknowledging that, right? The problem is when you don't halt and you just give into that short-lived pleasure, like you grab onto that without stopping and thinking it through, you forget that the consequences that come from it are so much bigger. In the end, it comes down to saying, do I want this cookie that will give me a short period of pleasure and come with a lot of consequences, or do I want freedom? Do I want health? Do I want to look good? Do I want to feel good? Do I want to participate in life? Do I want to expand my horizons and actually experience real life and thrive here? We just have this one life on earth, right? We're here for a reason, and we spend so much of our time wrapped up in ed and wrapped up in food that we're missing out on the tremendous joy that comes from existing in the way that you were created to exist. So again, I want you to think about both things. If you're in a place where you really just don't understand your worth and you don't understand how valuable you are, you need to start speaking those things. And again, you don't even have to believe it for your words to have power. If you look in the mirror and you say, I am worthy, I have a purpose, I am a unique creation, and no one else that has ever existed can ever do what I've been created to do. So I'm important. Say those things, write those things. They will get into your spirit and you'll start to believe them too. And it's very, very, very powerful. And that will help you start to have a vision for what life can be beyond where you are. And then, of course, if you are still believing that food does something for you, that is just a matter of saying, what is the lie I believe? What is the lie? And even after all this time, I guarantee you there's still some of you who have never actually sat down and written out all of Ed's lies. If you've never done that, don't be ashamed of it, but you need to, because you can't overcome the lie with truth. You can't come back at Ed with a convincing truth if you're still caught off guard by the lies, or you haven't really identified what those lies are in your life. So either you're self-sabotaging because you don't know your worth, or because you think it's who you are and you don't understand it's a behavior and it's not who you are. Or you still think there's something in it for you, something that food will do for you. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. The second thing, and I hope everybody's still hanging in here watching, because sometimes I make announcements on these videos and I realize no one's watched them because they don't know. A few people in the group know this, but most of you don't. I'm having a pretty major surgery on Thursday morning. It's been scheduled for a few weeks. I have a health issue that has got to be dealt with. I will be in the hospital for a couple of days and then recovering at home after that. It's not something I'm looking forward to. It's just something that has to be done, and I have to go through it. But I wanted to make you aware of that. And I am going to be just fine. But I wanted to let you know that because of that, I'm super excited because we are going to have a guest host for Saturday's call. Some of you guys have seen Sarah come on here live before. Her name in the group is Emily Simley, but her name is Sarah Baldwin, and she has a tremendous story to tell you about where she was in life and how she was on the verge of weight loss surgery and was just miserable, and how everything in her life has changed with her sobriety, how her mindset shifted, and what she was able to do. So if you've never made a Saturday 10 a.m. call before, this is the one that you want to show up for, because Sarah is going to be giving her testimony, telling her story, but also answering your questions this Saturday morning. So we will have a call. Even though I'll be out, I may be released by the hospital, from the hospital by then. I should be sometime that day, but I may not be. I don't know. In any case, this is going to be a very exciting opportunity for you to hear from someone else who's been through this process, who is maybe right where you were. And I'm really, really excited and thrilled that she is willing to do that. So looking forward to that. I'll put a reminder about that. I'll do a post about it, but I just wanted to announce it here in the group as well. So hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon.